Hey Legend Crew, welcome back to another episode of Legend Ethics Shared Dreams. This guest star over here is Pete Wong. We've actually never met before until today.
Just now.
A mutual friend said that he should be doing an episode, so I mean, I took his word for it, and I wanted to get to know Pete and hear his stories, so I appreciate you being on the show, brother. I really do.
Thank you
very much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll actually let you take it over and say who you are, where you're from, and kind of like what you're doing and stuff like that.
All right, cool. So yeah, our mutual friend, Dewey Moore, I think that's what he's using now. He recommended me, so I'm really grateful, and it's awesome just talking to you for a little while, just before, as we're setting up.
Yeah.
It's really great. I am so pumped to share, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
I think what you're doing is inspiring, and just it's important.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm glad to hear your story, to get a little bit of background, that kind of thing. So it's time for me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So hello everyone. I'm Pete Wong. I'm a mind-body coach.
Mind-body coach.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm all about inspiring people through my narrative. It's taken many years to formulate, to figure out, to get things in line, and it's all about just growing, and the things that I want, the things that I'm learning in life, and when just wanting to share that. I realize that there's a need for it. Every day I talk to people, and I realize there's a need for it. But that's who I am today.
That's very cool.
I can get more into the details of that, but that's the general is, and I call my program Unleash the Beast.
Unleash the Beast. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's appropriate.
So
yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's very cool. So I mean, you were saying as well, you worked at a school as well. Yeah. You've also gone into filming as well. How has all this led to this?
All right. So I'm gonna, as I told Lyndon, I'm gonna try to be brief with my past, because there's a lot there, but it definitely served. The narrative has served who I am today. So I love to talk about it. I actually wrote a book. It's not published yet.
Wow.
I'm working on self-publishing it. When I sat down to write it, it was easy, because I was super excited to get this out there. But I'm gonna tell you about my story. Okay, so I'm from Minnesota. I'm Chinese American, but I didn't realize I have the Minnesota accent. I do. So have you seen Fargo? How they talk? I have that. And let's see. So yeah, my family immigrated to the United States, Minnesota of all places, super cold, 7 months of the year, if not more. I've always been a kid who has been into creating things, whether it's role play, drawing, the arts, I guess you could say. I don't really like to use that word anymore, but creative things.
Yeah.
And telling stories. And then let's see. And then I was inspired at a young age of martial arts. Let me see. It was Jackie Chan. Seeing Jackie Chan, a VHS tape, that Drunken Master, Snake and the Eagle Shadow.
Yeah.
It was. We didn't even have the whole movie. All right. But I was inspired, and then the American culture kind of took over. And I didn't know what assimilation was, but that's what happened. I was being assimilated by my surroundings. And so I started to not really care about my Chinese culture, my heritage. I started to lose it. And I started to just do everything that my friends were doing. So I started playing baseball, I started playing basketball, street hockey, you name it, football, that kind of thing. But just playground. And then when I was 15, there was a movie theater in Minnesota, Riverview Theater, and they showed Hong Kong movies in the evening, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And that's when I saw Jet Li's Once Upon a Time in China on the big screen.
Oh wow.
And the dun dun.
Yeah.
I saw that on the big screen. Cinematically, everything about it kind of took me back into this imagination world, this storytelling that I fell in love with as a young kid. But then as an adult, or as a growing adult, young adult, I started to see the things that I was interested in, like characterization and that kind of stuff. So that became my pursuit to study film. And so I studied film, studied theater, I started making short films. I love to tell people stories. I'm somebody, maybe because of the way I was raised, was all about like, how can I inspire other people?
Yeah.
How can I help people who don't have voices to give them a voice? And it inspired me to tell stories, and it tapped into that child that loved Jackie Chan and loved my culture.
Yeah.
So I think it comes from my grandparents, who growing up, they passed away at a young age. And so they didn't have a voice. There weren't a lot of programs in the 80s for them to express who they are. My parents were busy working. So I wanted to, even though they passed away, I wanted to give people a voice that maybe they didn't get a chance to.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's why I really went into acting as well. I mean, like I was telling you before we started the episode, it was actually a 10-part essay in my communications class in college. And I was going into kinesiology. It wasn't even related to my major. It was an undergrad class just to satisfy a GE. But it was a 10-part essay, and it was one of the questions of how do you want this world to be different because you lived in it. And I was always watching my favorite films on repeat. And because I naturally felt so inspired by them. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about those films. I mean, that's just what they do for me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be able to tell those stories and vicariously live through those characters, and in a sense tell my story as well by playing these roles.
Yeah.
Because I mean, each role is, well, at least I mean, different actors might use different techniques and such. But I mean, at least with the technique that I've learned from Ivana, my acting teacher, is, I mean, using your own life and stuff like that to relate to the characters and stuff. And so as I play these characters, it's very cathartic in a sense. And so I know exactly what you're talking about, and I love that you said it's all about sharing voices that haven't been heard but need to be heard.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's definitely why I did the same. So it's really cool that you said that.
Yeah, and you know, when people ask me what are your favorite films, it's like they're the films that make you think, but also like there's a connection to humanity.
Absolutely.
And you know, some people are like, well, you know, those are deep films, and it's like it is what it is, you know.
I mean, human beings, we're complex creatures. I mean, there's a lot of depth to us ourselves, and so I mean, it makes those movies easy to relate to.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like yeah.
But yeah, so how has that transitioned you into everything else that you? I mean, next was teaching, and then. Yeah.
So, as long as I was doing film, I was also working with kids.
Okay.
And so I was telling stories that was hopefully inspiring people and expressing voices. At the same time, I felt like I had to do something practical. So I was like the imagination, the creativity, that was one thing, but that was still like celluloid. That was still like on a film. I wanted to do something. I want to make impact, like personable.
That's awesome.
So I started working with kids by accident. Like I was part of a youth program. I was an old youth. I was like 20 something when I started like a video training program, learning how to use cameras and learning what acting was, and you know, the different. I was like an old, you know, I was in community college.
Yeah.
And so that became my life is like film, working with kids, and then my dream did come true.
That's awesome.
I went to Hong Kong. All right, so I made a documentary on my father as a project for school. Originally, it was 10 questions, and then by the time we got to the third or fourth question, my father was adopted by his aunt, but he didn't know why. So I went on a 2-year exploration with my father and my family to document this, and I don't think I've ever made a more personal film than that one. And I'm really proud of that film, even though, you know, it's sitting on YouTube and that's it. Like, it's sitting on YouTube, but like I like that was you know, a long time ago, and you know, but I'm very happy with it. And then I went to Hong Kong, and I went there for 2 months, and then I met some people there, and then it changed my life. So I said, I'm gonna move there. So I went to Hong Kong, and I was teaching English drama, and then I started year 2. I was there for 3 years. Year 2, I believe, I started assisting for a film producer. So it just happens to be he's one of the main people who do all the martial arts stuff.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like seriously, like, you know, like I know you have a lot of actors and film people, like I've seen on Legend Ethics, and it's great. So there was a moment where I was, you know, here's the thing about like dreams, right? You have this idea of what it looks like, what it feels like, based on what you've seen or heard. Mm-hmm. But then to get there, it might be like mud and, you know, like, can I even get out of this? Do I even want this? And then you're there, and then that whole thing about like you pinching yourself, like, is this real? Like literally, like I was on a set with like some heroes of mine, but I was doing like the grunt work, and I was like, you know, I just got yelled at for nothing that I really did except like miscommunication with somebody.
Yeah.
Right? But so that really taught me to have a thick skin, but also it taught me to kind of take a step back and realize like how do I want to be treated?
Yeah.
You know, so back then I was back then, and this is like when I'm 26, 27 in Hong Kong. I mean, I was working on some cool movies and that kind of stuff, and, you know, like working with fight choreographers, and just as the assistant, you know, assistant to the producer. But it got me to the place that I wanted to be, which is reading scripts and you know, be among the people that are doing it on that level.
Yeah.
But it wasn't what I believe that it should be.
Interesting.
Because people were treating each other with disrespect. People were not being genuine. And so at that age, I didn't have the confidence, the bravado, to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of shit. I took a lot of crap. And
well, it's the hard part too, because I mean, in one of the episodes, Dean Vecito, he was saying that while pursuing any dream, the track's not going to be linear. That's the first thing. And then Miss Ludi Salalesi, in another episode, he said, in the pursuit of his acting career, in the pursuit of his dream, there are times when you want to give up, and you look back and you're like, I've sacrificed all this, I've done all this, and I'm gonna give up now? Like, you're already in pain, you're already hurting, just keep going for it. But it's at the same time, it's like you're talking about, where's that line of, and this is a huge part of it, is the ethics portion of it, and the self-respect and the propriety of chasing those dreams. And that's why the ethics portion of the brand is very key, because in this business, I mean, it can be very cutthroat. It can be very, and as you said, be mistreated in certain ways, and that's...
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, and it's all a huge portion of how you treat other people and what kind of impression you're making on these people and what kind of lasting impression you're going to create. So, I mean, so is that what kind of led you into the health and wellness? Okay, so... How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, and this part's really, like... really important to me, because it's my very personal, I just say it's my personal narrative. So when I came back to the States, I got married in Hong Kong, and we were married, and we decided we were actually planning on going east or west, because at that time I still had this like desire to pursue film. With my experiences and that kind of stuff, but I also had a wife. So it was just like this, you know, back and forth, like communication, like, you know, just finding a way together. Well, at that time, many things started to happen after moving to Minnesota. My wife and our relationship didn't go as well, and it was already like having issues. So we eventually got divorced. I started losing people in my family to cancer. And then I lost my best friend. Okay, he was 90, but I lost my friend, my kung fu teacher, Jax Plazawi Sr. And then my grandma passed away. And so what I started, and I had made the move to LA. So about 5 or 6 years ago, I made the move to LA. And inside, so I was doing all these like things to keep going, like, you know, like, because sometimes like we're not sure, we just do stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I want to do film, I get, you know, there, I gotta find money, I gotta do this, I gotta do this and this, and inside I was falling apart and I was lost, but I wasn't depressed.
Interesting.
My depression came years before, and I didn't talk about it because it's always hard to like figure out when to talk about things. But so when I was little, I lost my grandma to suicide, and I didn't recognize, you know, how that would affect me or how the trauma, how it would affect me until I was in my mid-20s and I lost my best friend to suicide. So I was dealing with different forms of trauma, not knowing how it affected me. And then on top of it, these different things happened to me. Oh yeah, there was other things. It's kind of like a list, but I share this because I think sometimes if we don't take the time to identify, like look at the little things that are happening in our life, they just kind of brush over and we don't recognize like how special and how valuable they make who you are. So I was losing people to death, and some, you know, natural causes, some not natural causes, like a lot, like stroke, like just, I was losing these people that I love so much and they're just gone. And I was trying to find identity. And then my first trip to LA, actually, I had to get surgery. I got an infection.
Jeez.
And I thought it was a pimple. It wasn't a pimple. And I had to admit myself to ER, and I had surgery. And so I had to, you know, a couple months of recovery for that. So when I moved out to LA, I was lost, and all these things piled up, but yet I was still doing my thing. I was still working. I was still figuring things out. And then I found hope, or I found change in my martial arts. I found a meetup group in Pasadena that is a group of mixed martial artists that share, and we just meet at a park and we share. And then one night I met he's become my best friend. He's my mentor, my instructor. His name's Orpheus Black, and I started training with this guy, and I didn't know what he was sharing with me. I just knew that I was hungry for it.
Yeah.
The way that I describe it is Rocky when he's punching that meat, right? There's no one else there except him, and he's wearing that hoodie that he always wears. It's dirty, it's holes, and he's punching that meat. Like, it's just him doing that thing because that's, like, for whatever reason, he's doing that thing. So I would learn the basics of boxing, mixed in with Filipino martial arts, mixed in with Salat, wrestling, grappling, bare knuckle boxing. But the basic of boxing, like, I didn't know how to throw a real punch. I didn't know how to take a punch. I didn't know a lot of these things, and I felt out of my element. And, you know, people like to use the word failure. I don't like to use that word. I really don't, because I just couldn't do that thing well. Like, I never saw it as a failure, you know, even though I would like always critique myself. Yeah. You know, but that's one of my flaws, is that I would get upset at myself. I'd be so critical, like, you know, I couldn't do a step to the right, you know, and feel balance. You know, my instructor would be like, he doesn't say anything, he just keep going, right? And so I had to take a good look at myself. And then that's when I started to put into motion my transformation, which I call unleashing the beast. So, because I've always been inspired by entrepreneurs, I've been inspired by, like, even Steve Jobs and like these people who are talking about the world in a different way, you know, like make the world the way that you want it. Yeah. Right? Create the world that you want to live in. So I started to transform my life, body, mind, and spirit. It started off with the mind. Like just getting inspired. There's a book, You're a Badass by Jen Sincero, that my sister told me about, and I read it, and I think it helped me a lot. But so there was the mental I had to change, and I think, and this is like the thing that I want like the most is to get out there is like how important, how vital it is for us to work on that.
Yeah.
To take time to realize, like, you know, it's important to love yourself. It's important to say good, nice words to yourself. And for the first time in my life, because I wanted it so bad, I said, I'm gonna do things that I've never done before. So I started training like a boxer. I started conditioning, you know, and being out here in LA, a lot of people work out and that kind of stuff. Well, I did martial arts, I did Kung Fu, but I never like had a schedule. So I created a schedule. I started drinking water more, you know, I'd wake up in the morning and I have a routine, right? So I did all these things that I would learn from other places, or I talk to people, or someone, you know, like a nugget here, a nugget there. And I just started to formulate that. And I didn't realize that this would become my purpose, my drive. And, but as I was doing the work, as I was like healing inside, you know, it's like writing your vision, you know, creating your vision, putting out there the person that you want to be. And another word I like to use is no excuses. There is no excuses. I mean, the only excuse that you have is the ones that you make up.
Yeah.
Right? Like even the world that projects things onto you, it's like, you could take that, but it's only going to damage you. It's going to continue to damage you. So it's better to focus on you and what you want in life, and just don't worry about other people. Just do your thing. Love and respect other people, but do your thing. And then I started crafting workshops and speaking engagements, and that's what became Unleash the Beast. And I just want to be out there coaching people, inspiring people, and giving them these nuggets that have helped me. And there's just so much. Like
that's awesome.
There's just so much. It's hard to really, you know.
Well, I love that. I mean, do you have like a website that shows these different talking events and all that kind of stuff, where they are and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I have a website, unleashthebeast.net. Okay. And I write a blog because I like to write, I like to share these things. So I write a blog. I'm trying to do like three times, before it was like once a month, and now I'm trying to be, you know, because I just have more, and people are like, they're interested, and I believe in it more. Yeah. So I'm like, and I always have these things I want to write about. So I keep a blog, and then if I have events and that kind of stuff. But
okay, very cool. Well, I have to definitely check that out.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize you were doing that. I mean, but that's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, and you definitely have a lot of knowledge to share, a lot of experiences to share, and that's, you're learning from each of these experiences, or you're taking from it, and that's by self-analyzing and analytically looking at all these different, like you said, these small events that you usually would just brush over. But I mean, those can be life-altering and life-defining almost. Yeah. But it's really cool. I mean, geez, that's I was doing my best to actually like really pay attention to like, okay, wait, so it went from this to this to this. But if you look, but I mean, when I rewatch this, I mean, you can actually see the fluidity of that line and how it just flowed, which is really cool, which is really awesome. Because I mean, if someone didn't hear your story and they were just listening to what you had done, you're like, how did this connect to this? Where's that segue? Exactly. But it's really cool how it really does. It just kind of flows for you, which is really awesome. Yeah. One thing. So our martial art group that my instructor and I and another friend, Henry Rodriguez, we created, is called Bloodline Hybrid Boxing, and we're about more like the spiritual, like, you know, like we don't have warriors anymore. Like and that's why I love what you do, because I feel like there's an energy of a warrior. Yeah. You know, and then you just shared with me, you know, a personal, you know, like you're wearing it. Yeah. Right. And so what we do, it's intense, but we talk about like being uncomfortable. Like, so my entire life, and this is the thing that I meant to say. My entire life, I'd say my first 36 years of my life, I was living it based on perception, based on what I saw in the world, what other people were feeding to me, what I grew up in. And never was I encouraged or taught or planted a seed to say, don't worry about that. Take some time to figure out who you are, what kind of life you want to live. Yeah. And so, but that's uncomfortable, and like, you know, it can get very like mucky and that kind of stuff. So the martial arts that we do, lots of times it helps
face your insecurities, it faces your fear. Like the first time that I had to do like knife fighting, it was like I had to put myself where not only can I get stabbed, but also that's part of the process to not die.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot about like I think in life the message is wrong. I think in life we're teaching people like don't do this, like oh, you know, like whether it's trying to be perfect or whether you're trying to meet something or whether you're trying to attain a goal. Just do the thing that you want to do and just just hit things and like, you know, failure or whatever word you want to use, but it's it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's okay to get hurt. You know, when I was learning about boxing, one of my favorite fights is the Mickey Ward and Gowdy fight, because these guys are just like, they're skillful, they're experienced, they're hitting each other, but that's part of their strategy.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that before. And then you know, I mean, I'm sounding like a Rocky movie metaphor, but it really is. It's like, why aren't we teaching people to feel pain? Why aren't we teaching people to like hurt? Why aren't we teaching people to like it's okay to suffer?
Yeah.
It's okay to not get things the way that you want it. That is the beauty. Because if you can put yourself in that place, and especially live in that moment, like it only gets better from there.
And I mean, a lot of it is, I mean, there's, have you seen Fight Club? I mean,
oh yeah,
it's an iconic
love it.
movie, classic.
Yeah.
But Tyler Durden's speech when he's talking to Fight Club, I mean, not only the rules, but also about where he says, we see all this potential, but we're trained to think that we have to work this job or this job or this job. And it's not saying that those jobs lead to mediocrity, but he says that we have no great war. I mean,
yeah,
World War II's done. I mean, don't want to get into the politics of World War III, of that ever happening. Don't want to get into the politics of that. But the point is our generation, we're almost like a lost generation in terms of there's a lack of passion, and there's a lack of direction, and there's lack of that, in a sense, a great war that would give our life some sort of purpose. And so many times, I mean, you see this, oh, I'm expressing myself, but you're imitating what's already been done.
Yeah.
There's a lack of originality. There's a lack of true passion and doing so wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And that's what I find, and that's what I love about hearing these stories is they're each unique and drastically so. Even if someone has the same dream, going into acting or whatever, there were, I mean, 2 episodes back to back were 2 neuroscience majors.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but they have very different paths, and they have very different paths of how they got there. And that's what I love hearing is that originality that makes each of us unique. You know, and because that passion, it's so hard to find these days. I mean, and that's why so many people, I mean, even if they do start pursuing a dream, they change directions. They stop pursuing it because either it's lack of passion or dedication, but it's also that comfort level. We're trained to be afraid of failure, you know, but I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't missed that or did not land that role or so on and so forth. You're learning from all these different experiences, and you have to you have two choices. You can either look at it and say, well, I failed, which is you can't look at it that way because that's a victimizing mindset, or you can look at it as okay, this is what I did, now what could I do in the future? What can I do to change this? What am I going to do? What am I going to learn from this? What's been an obstacle along the way through going through?
Well,
I mean, everything.
Okay, so about 2 years ago, I'll just keep it very simple. 2 years ago, I had a different mindset, and money, and not having something that I thought I needed held me back. So I work at a job with kids.
Yeah.
And inside my gut, I know that like I'm good at that, but it's time to grow. It's time to move on. But I'm having a hard time finding like I'm an entrepreneur. It's like who's like I have to, because I created this program and I need to get it out there.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm learning how to get it out there, And I'm always hoping like someone like can make it easier, you know, like and I think that it will happen, but it's like it hasn't happened yet. So it's like I'm still working my job, but my mindset is different now. So I let go and I appreciate. I got this. This is happening. Let's focus on what I really want.
Yeah.
Right. But this is happening. So it's that dichotomy, that yin and the yang. It's like, okay, we're in the moment here. Things are ugly, but we're pushing. Let's keep going. And I love myself and I appreciate myself in this moment. I feel good. So the obstacle has been myself. The obstacle has been my perspective, my mindset. I thought it was money, but really like a lot of books and a lot of programs out there, you know, it's a projection.
Yeah.
And it's something I'm dealing with. So the thing that I know I got to work on is dealing with the way that I looked at money, the way that I was raised at looking money, and no pun, you know, no anger or resentment towards my family or my parents, but now I have to change that. I have to flip that narrative, and the thing is that it's new. So there are things that, and this is that whole taking that time to know yourself and to face those demons, those things that pain, the things that those insecurity. So for me, it's money, and then the second thing, which is going to be my second book, is about being an Asian man growing up in the Midwest, and my thoughts now on masculinity and sex and just feeling like sexy.
Yeah.
All that conversation.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, you should definitely talk to my my acting manager, Scott Erickson. Manages ACE, Asian Cinema Entertainment.
That's right. Okay.
Definitely reach out to him, because that's a lot of. I'm definitely have to do an episode with him, because he definitely has a lot to share on that. But it's
cool.
about the.
That'd be really cool.
Asian male and Asian female. Well, I mean, Asian males are not necessarily projected as leading characters in movies, because they're not the generic, or not perceived as the generic sexy male lead, you know?
Again, yeah.
Asian females are more often than not objectified as the sex symbol in the film, and not necessarily character driven in terms of there's not a lot of depth to them. They're just there to be the sex symbol, and that definitely needs to change. That is not the society that we live in. It's not how Asian characters should be portrayed in film. And Scott Erickson, my manager, he has a lot to share on that. So definitely reach out to him. I mean,
it'd be really cool.
It's definitely
important, right?
Definitely something that we're working towards, which is great, which is phenomenal. So I mean, I'm excited to be a part of that. I mean, looking forward to.
And I love to hear that about that you have that in you.
Yeah.
You know, because in the work that you do, you know, whether this or your acting or anything else that you pursue, you already have that. The seed's already planted.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? You're a healthy Asian male, you know, that's living life and wanting to project these kind of messages out there versus what is being projected upon us.
Yeah. And so that in itself would be a whole nother in-depth episode. So I mean, when that second book comes along, we're gonna have to do another episode just about that.
All right.
That'll be a great recap.
That'd be awesome.
As things have transitioned for you, I mean, obviously there's not going to be one answer to solve all the problems, but what is a tip that you can give the viewers in terms of pursuing their dreams as it transitions, or whichever? I mean, what would be a tip that you can give them?
So I prepared for this question because I watched your videos and I was like, okay, he's gonna ask this question. Because I have so many, and that's what I'm creating for people. But there's two, like I narrowed it down to two of them that I really wanted to share. So one is, I think it's so important to, and I believe I got this from Orpheus, but the conversation that we need to have is the one when, whether it's in our room or out in the forest or whatever, but the hardest one. And it's the one where you quiet the noise and you just breathe and you ask yourself, who am I? What do I want in this life? And when I say what do I want in this life, I'm talking about the moment. I'm not even talking about necessarily, I mean, like it's kind of like that ongoing conversation is like, what do you want as far as your career? What do you want as far as relationship? But ask that tough question, but then bring it back to the moment. So it's like, do I really want to pursue this thing? Because before I get to the second one, I'll share with you. So I thought that I wanted to continue pursuing the film thing, because every time I see my friends on Instagram, I'm like, man, they're on set, that's pretty cool. And then I think about it, I'm like, yeah, it's not really my thing. I don't really want to be on a set for 15 hours.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like I can feel it in my body. Like I'm not that kid that was in Hong Kong like pursuing this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I have a different perspective on things now. But I kept going with it, and I enrolled myself into an acting class, and it was an 8-week program. By week 4, because I thought I could get my money back. I got half of it back, but by week 4, I was like sitting and I was looking at all the actors, and I'm like, man, they really want this. They're so hungry, and they love reading these sides. And I'm like, so I had to take some time and really think about it. Like when we take time and just listen, I like to use the word listen to our breath, and just be in the moment with ourselves and listen to that voice. Be in your nature. What is that feeling? What is that saying? And then just listen to that. It's not hard. It's already there. It's already in you. But we're so afraid we put other things on top of it. So the voice that I heard was, you want to create a safe space where you can inspire the hell out of people. And that's it. And it's not even about me. Like, that's the greatest thing. It's like I'm talking about me, but it's all about creating a safe space where people can have a dialogue with each other. And like, they're so transparent. It's like they didn't know this about this person, well, this person, and then they can like relate with each other. But I'm already creating a safe space where I'm saying it's okay to be you. There's nothing better in the world than you to be you right now. And you deserve this right now. Don't leave, you're right here. Be here with me. That's it. Second one ties with it, but I learned to live life moment to moment. In my book, I say moment to moment to moment. And like when I studied theater, the best times is when I let go and was just present.
100%.
Right? Like
absolutely.
Like when you're starting off, you're kind of like listening to the other actor, and maybe you know their cue lines, and you're like, and then the moment happens, and then you miss your line. But then as you get more advanced, you're like, you've already done the work, you know your lines. Now it's embodying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm learning to live life moment to moment, and I try to live like my life full of excitement. And it's not like a quirky thing. It's not a hippie thing. It's that person that was falling apart, that person that was sad and crying and like felt alone, that felt like no direction. Like, I guess it was like, what was my purpose? But what's my meaning? Like, what am I supposed to do in life? You know, like, because even the film thing, like making a movie is not enough for me. It wasn't enough anymore. What was it? It wasn't until I took time to love myself. And then to love myself, but that means being in the moment. And then when I did that, I started appreciating other people. And I just love it. Like you said, you know, we're human. So it's really fun. Lots of times I love to just sit and just like kind of see how people respond.
Yeah.
And people, like, I've gotten a lot of compliments, you know, like people say you always create a safe space for people. And I'm like, thank you, because that's, I take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah.
You know, because it's the natural thing to do. Like, that's all I know how to do, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it the best that I can.
Yeah.
And all these things that I'm learning, you know, through fighting, through martial arts, through meditation, through yoga, through reading, through talking to other people, it's all to make relationships stronger. It's all to make to continue to like inspire me and inspire other people in this life.
That's awesome.
That's it. So I also was thinking like I wanted to show you some of the martial arts. If we could
that'd be great. Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll do that after. Yeah, that'd be great.
So,
well, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I'm gonna have to check out your website because if you've been doing, how long have you been doing the blogs?
The blog is probably about a year.
Okay, well, I mean,
yeah.
if you start off with one a month, and if
Yeah.
you're going to a few a month, I mean, you put a lot of content out there. And once your book comes out, I
Yeah.
definitely want to read that. So as soon as it's done, let me know.
Yeah.
I'll check out your website to see when your talks are because I mean, you have a lot to share, which is great.
And another project that I'm planning on doing is doing a workshop for actors,
Awesome.
but not about acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how that
So-
goes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Let me know about that.
Yeah, something about you are enough.
Oh,
along
very
those
cool.
lines.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think it's needed.
Yeah.
So like in the
Particularly-
industry, but like I know a lot of actors, so that's fine.
And
Yeah.
particularly in LA where I mean you are enough,
Yeah.
which is great because particularly in LA you're gonna get lost in the shuffle. It's just part of the game.
Yeah.
You're gonna get lost in the shuffle, and some can take that, some can't. I mean, actors are so used to being in the limelight, in the spotlight. So I mean, when they're not, it's almost like,
What am I?
well, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Where am I? What am I
Yeah.
doing? Who am I? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So I mean that'll be a lot of fun. I want to know more about this. When we're done with this, we'll consider that. But yeah. So any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
I mean, there's always stuff to share. There's always stuff to learn.
Yeah.
That's okay, yeah. I just feel grateful. I use this word a lot in my hashtag, like every day, love and gratitude. I feel just very grateful for this opportunity. Any platform that I get to really share, like, because I believe there's a need for this.
There is.
One of my recent heroes is Zach Levine, the Shazam
Okay.
actor. He shares a lot about his past, and that's what inspired me even more to do this workshop with actors. But he shares about his story, his narrative, and how he's all about being healthier. He uses the word love, and he loves to use the word, you are worthy. And I just like these are words, but words are very important, especially when they're the subconscious ones that we do to ourselves.
Yeah.
So, no, that's just it. I just want to say I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
We just met.
Yeah.
And again, thanks, Dua.
I'm proud to have met you.
so-
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Dua, for setting us up. I mean,
Yeah.
he because I do post on the whenever I post about Legend Ethics, like reach
Yeah.
out to me. I mean, I love meeting new people, love hearing these stories, love sharing these stories. So I mean, I'd love to keep that going. So if you're interested, please comment down below. Let me know if you're enjoying the episodes. Let me know if you'd like to be on an episode. Let me know. And
Let them know.
And we get the teas from legendethics.com.
Got
And,
the swag. So I went with the green.
Yeah, and I mean it fits perfectly because I mean
Thank you.
I've kind of scoped out your pictures before coming, and it's definitely your style, and it works for you perfectly. I love it. So I'm glad you got what you liked. Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Pete, for
Awesome.
being such a huge support and supporting Legend Ethics, and I mean staying up to date with the episodes.
Yeah.
'Cause I think it's been a while since Dua recommended you, but. Because I've been having other episodes and everything getting ready,
You're
but
working it.
I mean, I appreciate the support since. I mean, you've been very supportive, so thank you very much, and thank you for sharing all this information and your knowledge and your story and your life experiences. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, everyone just enjoy your life and get it, like get what you want.
Be sure to check out. I'm going to be sharing the links to Unleash the Beast and your program and stuff like that, just so you can stay up to date with his blog posts as well, and the book when that does come out. I'll be posting about that as well, because I mean I'm interested to see that. And once the second one starts working, I'll keep you guys updated. And be sure to check out his website, unleashthebeast.net.
.net, yep.
Because he does have these your talks as well. How often do those?
Whenever I can.
Whenever
make
you
one
can.
happen. So
Okay, well-
I'm gonna be doing a talk in Minnesota. I'm going back home
Oh, perfect.
in October. So.
The martial arts, since I'm training that myself, I'd love to actually get together and start doing some training with you.
Cool.
If you're down for that. I mean, I love pushing those limits, and I mean learning more and more. As I was telling you, I've been teaching myself using swords, using the nunchucks and all that. So I always want to find that next venture.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so let's do that. And other than that, be sure to like and subscribe to hear from more weekly guest stars sharing awesome stories. And check out legendethics.com so you can get these teas with the Legend Ethics Heart of Gold. And yeah, thank you very much, Pete, again
Thank
for
you.
being on this episode.
Thank you, everyone.
And yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Let's build the Legend Crew. Let's keep it going.
Build it.